Right, it's Saturday now. We have a week to go. Well, this time next week, essentially. Hopefully, should be on our way to Dungannon with a finished lawnmower. That's kind of what it looks like at the moment. And all I really want to do to it is strip it back to the block, clean it up. I'll take this carb off it and give that carb a real good clean. And then remove a governor. Now, the governor's kind of, I think that must be one of the most commonly asked questions when you're talking about lawnmower racing. Like, it's buried in there. It's kind of like a second throttle input for these wee lawnmower tractors. The idea being you just set a throttle to a fixed position, and then you can just put it along. And if you hit a heavy patch of grass or you start to go up a hill or whatever like that, there, the governor, which is kind of a little gear with floating weights on it inside the engine, detects that it's starting to slow down because the engine's becoming more loaded, and then because it slows down, these wee weights move. Then that adjusts the throttle through a second input, which is the governor arm, which then gives the engine more throttle and allows it to accelerate out of that there kind of steep bit or heavy patch of grass, allowing you just to keep a pretty constant ground speed and the mower working as it should do. But in our situation, we don't want that. We want one throttle input and we want that to be the driver. So we'll remove that there altogether, and then yeah, we have to put in our own kind of throttle control, which will connect up to the wherever the hell it is, the BMX lever here, which is a normal bike brake wire. I know I had to put throttle return springs and stuff like that there on it, which it doesn't have at the moment. The kind of governor arm takes care of all that there. Right, engine's kind of, all the ancillaries more or less is stripped off of it there now. It's just draining the last bits of oil out of it that didn't dump on the fucking table. Got all kinds of new gaskets here. Probably won't use the, I wouldn't thought I would use them all right now. Basically I'm just going to need the one for the crankcase and a couple of ones for like that's for the oil breather, exhaust gasket there, for that inlet gasket, and then the rest of that there will be saved for when we tear it down after this race, when we get a bit of time. So seeing what we've got here, that's the top plate of the inlet, and it's just full of scuzz, just spooge. That's the way exhaust we made. This carb is just stinking. It has there, that's the oil breather filter as well, so I have to get a wee look at it as well. But that's just going to need totally cleaned up, like, because it's manky. So usually what you have is you have an arm coming down off this spindle, and that arm is sprung loaded such that it turns this little foot here hard in, so it's always pushing that little pin in. Now what happens then is this gear here takes off the crankshaft, and it drives through almost 90 degrees into the bevel gear. So whenever the engine speed kind of is high, this thing that spins around, and these wee weights fly outwards like that there. And when the wee weights fly outwards, they push that pin, which pushes this foot, which then pushes the governor forward. So the governor's grand, like, loving it, and the engine will just stay at that there revs. But what happens then, if the engine revs drop, these wee yokes start to move in like that there, which allows the foot then to move forward, which then brings this governor arm back, and then that makes an adjustment to the throttle in order to then speed it up, so the whole thing goes like that there again. So for our purpose, we need to get rid of it. So we're gonna get rid of this foot, but then bung that hole. But then also this here wee gear here. The gear serves as an oil slinger, so it throws oil all around the inside of the thing, and that's a good thing. But these wee weighted feet, they need to come off because they're a liability at high speed. They could just end up flinging off and wrecking the engine from the inside out. So what we're going to do is, well, rip this apart and keep what we need, ditch what we don't. Alright, here's quickly how we're going to remove this governor from this Briggs & Stratton 12 horsepower engine. So first thing, this yoke just lifts off, right? So that's kind of your whole governor assembly. Fire it down out of the road. Next thing you want to ensure is that you've turned this gear here so that this tiny little dot, there's a little dimple, matches up with the dimple on that gear, right? So the next thing you do then is you can lift this gear off, probably. That might actually be enough. And then this gear here, which is the whole camshaft, there, it just lifts right out. Set that to the side. Next thing you've got is this balancer. So it's kind of stopping. It's stopping that there wee foot from coming all the way out. So 11mm socket. It probably equates to something in Imperial, but an 11mm seems to be doing a job. And then this yoke here should just lift up like that there, up and out of the way, and then you can remove this fucker right here. What some guys like to do is they just chop a foot off it and then put it back in, because it, you know, it does seal the hole. And given my time frame, I'll probably end up doing the same thing. And then to put it back together, it's pretty much just that in reverse. Again, being very careful that your the little dimple on this matches up with the dimple on that there. Once you've got a part like this, don't turn the engine. You know, don't be fanning around or moving anything. Just put it back as it was. You can't really go too wrong. Alright. Alright. This is the last piece of the puzzle here. The little oil slinger governor looking yoke. So what I've just done just previous to this video is I've prized these little tangs apart such that they can get the pin through, and then now I can just pull that pin right clean. There's a pin, and then the little doofer there. Again, another one on the other side. I just come right out. That yoke left off. Not all wee bits, decided to leave a building as well. And then what you're left is with just this here. And it's kind of a press fit onto the shaft, so there's no issue there. So that yoke down could just go straight back onto the gear. And then you know, it'll fling all the oil and good stuff like that there, and everybody's happy. Now we just put a new gasket on it and blow it up. Alright, so it's now 8:30 on Saturday night. We got the engine in there. So from this morning, the carb's all cleaned up, the engine's been pulled apart, the governor's out of it, and the whole thing's back together again. We've linked this all up here, so I want to pull that. It opens the throttle. I had to put 2 springs on it. We've got one in there and one there, and also got this the choke connected up there as well. But it's kind of pretty, what's the word, ghetto. It's pretty ghetto at the moment, and we're just going to try turning the engine over here and just see how that works out for us. Right, hold on. Couldn't really sleep thinking about this fucking engine. So the thing kind of been fucking around with it all day, and then kind of last thing, sure, we'll try and start it. Thing's not having it at all. We found out a couple of things. One was this black wire. So there's this black wire kind of coming off the coil there. When the thing came, it was actually bolted onto the side of the engine. But now I'm told that it's not supposed to be bolted on the side of the engine. Need to double check this one there. But apparently that's the kill. So if that grounds, thing's killed. The second thing is there should be a 10th gap between this coil and the flywheel, and there is fucking no gap at all. Like, so, I'm gonna reset this gap tonight, and that'll probably sort us out for the morning. The other thing was, it said you could have possibly dropped a rod, like a wee push rod in there. So I've had the head off, cycled the engine, the valves are open and grand and all the rest of that there. The tolerances on them, like, they don't seem too bad, like, so I'm fairly sure it's something to do with this fucker here. So hopefully we can rectify it in the morning. Get Lewis over or something like that there. He seems to have a way with engines. His ways of making them talk. Fuck, that actually stops it. Awesome.